9 o'clock on the dot here on a Wednesday morning. Happy hump day to you. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are following a number of stories here for your local headlines, starting with the winter weather, of course. Majestic coming up here in the Live Impact studio shortly. Also, measles cases, they are up in both South and North Carolina. A vaccination clinic, free one, is going to be open tonight in Kannapolis. And that will be on Mooresville Road starting at 5 p.m. to 7:30 tonight. And a tragic story of a Rowan couple killed. The man, now his bond has been increased make that from $250,000. He is now out on not out, but his bond has been increased to $5 million. The suspect there in a drunk driving crash, killing two people in Rowan County. So we'll keep you updated on those two stories this morning. But right now we want to start with this weather. It is going to be a treacherous one at that, isn't it? I mean, Majestic's here. Carlene, we're getting all organized here. We're getting ready to do the work so that we are prepared for this weekend. We're going to be weather impact alert, right, Majestic?
Exactly. Really, right now we're just in that time zone where we're showing you each and every day how things are the same, the differences that we're seeing, and really just preparing you for this upcoming weekend, because this is going to be a big winter storm system that starts all the way in Texas, and it's going to extend eventually to the Carolinas. We're talking about a wintry mix of snow, freezing rain, and sleet. And so let's get straight to it. We're going to talk about our local impacts first, and then we'll talk about a little bit about the weather today. As we're looking at our weekend, though, we've already issued this Be some big impacts. We're watching for the potential of icing, freezing rain, and I think the ice potential and that icing threat still remains to be the #1 concern. We're going to start to see slick and icy roadways as soon as Saturday afternoon, especially by Saturday night, and then Sunday really just start planning to stay home on Sunday, because if this forecast holds together, Sunday seems like that'll be the worst day out of the weekend, and things could really get iced over fast. In addition to that, we could have some snow as well on top of it. We're preparing you for this. You need to be ready for the potential for power outages as well, because when we have ice in the forecast, you put just a little bit of ice on those power lines, on trees. It doesn't take a whole lot of ice for those to come falling down, and then the result of that could be many hundreds, thousands, even millions of people within this storm's track that could be without power starting this upcoming weekend. So what is new? The storm potential, unfortunately, continues to increase, especially the ice potential in general. The snow potential is going down, which is kind of sad. If we're having a southern winter storm, you kind of want some snow with it instead of ice, because ice is really the thing that's hard to deal with. Not seeing a lot of rain potential. I think we'll see rain a little bit on Friday, but when we're talking about our WCNC weather impact alert, this is not because of rain. This is truly because of the combination of ice, snow, and freezing rain mixed in even with some sleet. So the impacts, the highest threats will be heavy ice and heavy snow. Extended travel issues. This is not just going to be one of those days where we have a few hours of inconvenient weather and then the temperatures warm up and we have sunny skies. Oh no, I mean, the ground is going to be cold enough where everything that actually falls is going to stay on the ground, and our air temperatures will stay cold enough all the way until early next week. Power outages, I mentioned it once, we're going to keep on mentioning it again and again, because that's kind of the worst case scenario, is when you don't think the storm's going to hold together and then you're without potentially food and the resources that you need, the things that you need in order to prepare for this. So right now, kind of our time frame, what we're looking for will be between 7 p.m. on Saturday to 7 a.m. on Sunday. That's going to be the window where we think it's going to be actually the worst. So we're suggesting be home by Saturday late in the afternoon. Make sure you have your groceries, you're all good to go, because freezing rain and icy roads will really be what we're watching mainly. So here's our satellite and radar right now. The storm system is going to really start to form right there in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. As it continues to track eastward, it's going to bring that wintry threat, because we have the ingredients that are in place. For a winter storm to actually come together in the south, it needs cold air and it needs moisture. And sometimes in the south, it's very hard to get both at the same exact time. And let me just say, this cold blast of Arctic air, I mean, we will have plenty of it. You can see the cold temperatures way up north. All that cold air is going to be heading south. In addition to that, we will have the moisture that we need from that storm that starts to form out there in Texas. Now notice this. The purple here, that's going to be the icing, the mixing, the rain, the snow, freezing rain, and again, could see some sleet. Just north of that, that white, that's going to be the snow, and then south of it will be that cold rain. Now, this is an interesting graphic because this is our winter weather chances for this upcoming weekend. Notice, this extends all the way from Dallas, Oklahoma City, through Arkansas, Kentucky, parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, straight into the Carolinas. So this is moving west to east. Lots of places will be experiencing winter weather. So if you have any traveling plans, whether you're planning on taking an airplane or out on the roads, this is not going to be a good weekend for travel. 70 to 90% chance for winter weather coming our way, even as we zoom it in. Area shaded kind of in that teal color, that's 70 to 90%, 50 just south of us. So let's break this down a little bit more. Comparing two different models. This is Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock. Of course, remember the blue is just your snow. The pink is going to be that wintry mix. That wintry mix could be snow, freezing rain, some sleet. So this model is showing it starts in the mountains and then overnight Saturday and into Sunday. Here's 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. We have all this pink. That pink is likely
ice that's going to be falling across our area. And this is also very difficult because if you're looking outside the window and you think, it's just raining, remember how cold the ground temperature is and the air temperature. It's not just your normal rain. That's freezing rain, where the rain falls and then it freezes right at the contact of surfaces. So if you're heading out the door, here's even 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, we're still seeing a ton of that pink, but we're also seeing green. And again, with temperatures staying so cold on Sunday, this is going to be freezing precipitation. And it's deceiving, especially if you're thinking, okay, on Sunday there's no snow outside my window, and you go to drive or to step outside, and all of a sudden those sidewalks, driveways, any type of cement, even your cars could be frozen over with that glazing of ice. So that's something that we're watching. That's one of our models. Another model is showing this. Here's Saturday morning saying we're waking up on Saturday and it's going to have snow outside. We'll start to see snow for the first part of Saturday. Saturday evening, here's 5 o'clock. This is the same model we're talking about, still indicating that we'll have several hours of snow first before we start to see that pink really take over, and that would be then a wintry mix. And really, I think it's more of that icing threat. So snow, ice, and then potentially that freezing rain on top of it, which is such a bummer because when you have this, at least when it's the weekend, it's a wintry system, a winter storm, at least usually you can, send the kids out to play, you all go sledding, you make your hot chocolate, whatever it is. But because of how the system continues to agree and show us each day that it's not just going to be coming down as rain, for sure, not that, and not all as snow either, I think the concern of ice really needs to be top of mind. Now let's talk about the potential for snow. So this model, our European model, indicates that areas north of Charlotte has the best chance of getting snow. I think that is pretty significant, and that makes sense. That's what we've been seeing. A lot of that blue indicating where we could see higher totals. But then once we switch it over to our GFS, that line drops down a little bit. So we'll be watching to see how far south that line can go, because that kind of cuts off where it's just all snow to the north. Like I think in Virginia, they'll get a lot of snow. And then for us, we're kind of just on that line where it's going to be that mix, which is really not that fun, again, because of the ice potential. So once we blend it together, still it seems like we agree, the models are agreeing that most of that wintry weather, as far as just plain snow goes to the north of us. For us, it's likely that mix of ice, sleet, freezing rain, and yes, even some snow. As for today, it's still cold, but it's going to be a mild day. Low 50s. We'll see temperatures climb into the low 50s this afternoon, which is just about where we should be. Tomorrow we get even warmer. So Thursday will be the warmest day out of our 7-day forecast, nearing 60 degrees. So I would use the next couple of days to just start to prepare for this. Go run your errands. Make sure you have everything you need just in case we do get a 1/2 of an inch of ice. If we got a 1/2 of an inch of ice, that would shut down the city. I mean, it would be nearly impossible to travel, to drive. Everything would be iced over. And this is an interesting part of our forecast too, is say we get ice Saturday night and into Sunday. Well, look at those low temperatures, 21 degrees. I mean, anything that falls is not going to melt because we have so much cold air there at the surface that it's going to stick. And with these temperatures, as you can see right here in our 7-day forecast, they stay cold. 37 degrees for our high on Saturday. Then it drops 21 Sunday morning, a high of 29 on Sunday. So again, this could be a scenario where we have potentially some snow, but then over it, that freezing rain and that icing. And then look at this, 26 degrees heading out the door on Monday morning. So Monday morning in general, we're still below freezing. This is not going to allow any time for anything to melt. Monday afternoon, 34 degrees for a high. So even if we melted a little bit throughout the day on Monday, look at Tuesday. That refreezing then could create some issues again on Tuesday with 13 degrees heading out the door on Tuesday. So bottom line, we're preparing you over the next several days that we're confident a winter storm is making its way across the south. Several states will be impacted. And for our viewing area, we're mainly concerned about that wintry mix. We'll take the snow, but we're concerned that this is really going to be an ice issue as well. Even if we get a little bit of snow, that layer of ice on top of it is going to be concerning because it doesn't take that much ice to bring down trees, to bring down power lines, the result of power outages. And of course, travel is going to be very difficult. So make sure you have your food and water, make sure you have those flashlights and batteries, all the first aid kits. If you need to go out and get any medications, make sure you're doing that. Have a game plan for pets. And of course, make sure you're checking your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors too, because once your power goes out, sometimes that's something that's concerning. That's kind of what we're looking at for now. And again, each day we're seeing changes, but not dramatic changes. Everything's still pretty much on track, which is nice for a meteorologist, but as far as letting you know what is coming your way, that's the baseline of it. We don't have our totals yet for how much snow we're going to actually see or what we're forecasting, but hopefully we'll come out with that later today.
Oh, okay. There's going to be an update as far as weather models, tools. Okay.
Totals for snow, because
Totals.
everyone loves to see the maps
Yeah.
that has the totals, but you don't want to do it too far in advance, of course. But I think Brad's coming up with something today, and then we're all just
Okay.
going to put our input in, and then we'll be able to release that.
All right. So, I mean, but we are really preparing for something that is potentially devastating.
Absolutely.
I don't want to,
Yeah.
stoke any, fear or
Yes.
real concern, but we really need to be prepared. I was just telling a friend, I'm preparing. I come from Florida,
Yeah.
many hurricanes, so I'm preparing the same kind of way. Enough food and water, batteries full, all those extra battery packs charged,
Yeah.
in case something happens like that.
Yeah, and even I was thinking today, even if we get snow, it's important to go out and shovel too, because none of it is going to melt anytime soon.
Right.
So I know there's a lot of essential workers too, where it's we have to get to work, we have to do those types of things.
Exactly.
So get out and actually take care of it, because it's just going to be that crunchy, hard stuff that's hard to get rid of.
Ooh, I can see the snow smelt being bought out.
Yes, I could too.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Stay
Thanks,
close to our team.
Majestic.
We'll be on it for you guys.
You guys are going to be all over. We are all
Yeah.
hands on deck here on WCNC Charlotte on the Plus. We're going to take it extra coverage as well throughout the weekend. So I know I'm going to be close to my phone with my app downloaded.
Yes, good.
And so you will want to do that as well. Thanks, Majestic.
Thank you guys.
All right, we'll see Chris Mulcahy coming up at 10 o'clock here this morning on WCNC Charlotte for another live forecast update on this wintry weather that is heading our way. But like Majestic said, today, tomorrow, Friday, prepare for what is to come. We're going to take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. At 9:17, welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We just had Majestic on talking about the weather and what we can expect. So we want everyone to be weather impact alert as our team is monitoring things very closely, including our producer, James Brighton, who just checked in with us. And, I said we should buy some snow melt, before it runs out. Well, this is what he sent. He tried to buy some yesterday. He was able to buy 3 ice melts at the Target in Stonecrest yesterday, last night, and that's what it looks like. So, the shelves are already emptying out of the stuff. Well, at least we know people are trying to get prepared. So that's what that shows me. But hopefully they can restock it here in the next couple of days. We'll monitor things. If you have any similar pictures, let us know. Let us go to Davos. President Trump is there today. He is at an economic forum. This is live right now. He started speaking earlier this morning, but he is delivering remarks on many topics, including Greenland, amid tensions rising through there. But let's go ahead. The World Economic Forum with President Trump.
Trillions and trillions of dollars in defense. They buy our weapons. We make the greatest weapons in the world, but now we're going to make them faster, much faster. You saw that. I put a cap on the salaries, and I put no buybacks, no stock buybacks, no various other things that they were doing. I mean, they were making $50 million, but it would take them 3 years to give you a Patriot missile. I said, that's not good. My chauffeur can do a better job than that. And he makes slightly less than 50. They make big salaries. If they're going to make those big salaries, they're going to have to produce a lot faster. The good news is we have the greatest equipment in the world. Now we're going to start making it a lot faster. They're going to build additional plants. And all of the money that goes into stock buybacks is going to go into building plants. We're not allowing stock buybacks by defense companies any longer. They're going to build new plants to make Tomahawks, Patriots. We have the best equipment, F-35s. F-47, the new one just coming out. They say it's the most devastating plane, fighter jet ever. Who knows? They called it 47. If I don't like it, I'm going to take the 47 off it. I wonder why they called it 47. We'll have to think about that. But if I don't like it, I'm going to take that 47 off. But it's supposed to be the Stage 6. It's supposed to be the first Stage 6 plane, undetectable, like our B-2 bombers were undetectable. They flew right over Iran. They were undetectable. And they did their job, and they got the hell out of there. So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. A strong and secure America means a strong NATO, and that's one reason why I'm working every day to ensure our military is very powerful, our borders are very strong, and above all, our economy is strong because national security requires economic security and economic prosperity, and we have the greatest that we've ever had. Biden and his allies destroyed our economy and gave us perhaps the worst inflation in American history. They say 48 years, I say forever, but I think 48 years is the equivalent to forever. Whether it's 48 years or ever, it's terrible, costing the typical family $33,000. What they did to this country should never, ever be forgotten. It's early. But he has to be rated as the worst president we've ever had by far. The Autopen did much of the damage. The Autopen, he was the Autopen president. Because I don't believe a sane president would have ever signed the kind of things that he signed. But now grocery
We will continue to monitor remarks from the president coming out of the World Economic Forum this morning. Speaking of economics, right now we want to talk about the cost of health insurance here at 921 because families across America are facing a critical time when it comes to affordability and their health care. Even as people are paying more each month, they're also getting hit with high copays, surprise medical bills in some cases, and even denied claims. So helping us to try to understand what's driving these costs is Wendell Potter, president of the Center for Health and Democracy, as well as a former senior health insurance executive. Wendell, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jane. Glad to be with you.
Wendell, if you can help us understand the connection here between these major insurance companies reporting record revenues, profits, yet folks are paying more in their premiums.
These companies have gotten increasingly greedy, and they're under constant pressure from their shareholders. They're Wall Street companies, for the most part. They have to reward their shareholders with more and more profits. In 2024, just the 7 largest health insurers made $71 billion in profits. They're not using that money to reduce our premiums or our out-of-pocket requirements. They're using it to enrich themselves and to reward their shareholders. So it's basically greed. And these companies have grown and grown and grown to be massive corporate conglomerates. United Health Group, for example, is the 3rd largest company in America. Only Walmart and Amazon are bigger. But we're seeing that increasingly people are waking up to realize that these are the bad guys in healthcare. I see poll after poll, including one just this morning, showing that there is bipartisan agreement that health insurance companies need to be reined in and that they are the main culprit in ever-increasing healthcare expenses and the cost of health insurance.
All right, so what does this mean for us everyday patients and what can we do about it?
What it means is that we are not getting the care that we need, even as these companies take more money out of our paychecks and out of our pockets. They've erected barriers like high out-of-pocket costs, refusing to pay for coverage our doctors say we need, limiting our access to doctors and hospitals. That's how we are paying a big price, even the financial price. $27,000 a year now for a family policy. We can't afford this. So I think more and more Americans are reaching out to their members of Congress. Congress is hearing from their constituents. That's why this week members of Congress are hauling in the executives of 5 big insurance companies. They'll be in the hot seat for 2 congressional hearings. So I think that we may begin to see some bipartisan help in attacking some of the problems that these companies have caused.
Yeah, the hearings tomorrow, January 22nd, that these folks will be taking the hot seat. What should lawmakers be asking them? And perhaps, when it comes to accountability measures, and then how to actually make a difference?
I would ask them, how can they justify making as much money as they do? The CEO of Cigna, where I worked, has made $100 million over the past 5 years. And that's the money that we know that he made and that they reported. But they've jacked up the price of premiums every year. They've gotten increasingly into other aspects of healthcare. Cigna, by the way, now makes far more money in the pharmacy supply chain. It owns a big pharmacy benefit manager. So Americans need to understand the structure of these companies, how they have been able to grow so big, how lawmakers and regulators have allowed this to happen, and it needs to be brought under control. And I would encourage people to pay more attention to these companies, reach out to their members of Congress, and demand that they hold these companies more accountable.
As someone who worked in the insurance industry, you changed your perspective. What made you decide to speak out?
I decided to speak out because even though I was paid really quite well, I was seeing the consequences of the actions of these companies, how they were denying coverage to people who needed it, how they were saddling people with high out-of-pocket costs that has resulted in 100 million of us having medical debt in this country. Most of those people have health insurance and are paying a lot in premiums, but still we have medical debt. And they're refusing to pay for coverage that people need. What really was the straw that broke the camel's back for me was Cigna's refusal to pay for a liver transplant for a 17-year-old girl. And she died as a consequence of Cigna's refusal to pay for something her doctors said they felt would save her life. I couldn't in good conscience keep doing that. That happens day in and day out. That was one notable example and the thing that led me to walk away. But that happens every single day. These companies refuse to pay for coverage for treatments and medications that doctors know their patients need.
I mean, it is so frustrating for so many families. And so when we hit that wall of frustration and trying to protect ourselves moving forward, I mean, what should we take away this morning? What can we do?
What we can do is pay more attention to our own experience. I'm seeing this groundswell of anger across the country at these companies. Demand that our lawmakers change our healthcare system, hold these companies more account, make some of their practices illegal. They're doing things that, in Charlotte, you have a big banking industry. Banks cannot do what big insurance companies are getting away with. So we need to change that.
All right, Wendell Potter, thank you so much. Appreciate the insight this morning. We'll definitely be keeping an eye out on those congressional hearings coming up this week.
Thank you, Jane.
And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus at 9:30. Right now, we are following some local news. The big one, of course, is our winter weather, that we are weather impact alert. You want to be prepared starting today while you've got the time, the weather to cooperate. It's fairly warm because starting as early as late Saturday afternoon into the overnight hours, right, into Sunday, we are in store for a once-in-a-lifetime kind of event. And we'll hear from Chris Mulcahy coming up at the top of the hour. Measles, those cases are on the uptick again. We have some new cases in South Carolina affecting the upstate, as well as North Carolina and Buncombe County. Overall, over 500 people now are in quarantine. But in Cabarrus County, in Kannapolis, tonight, on Mooresville Road at 5 o'clock, they will have a free vaccination clinic from 5 to 7:30 tonight for the measles. And then an update on a terrible crash for a couple of Rowan County killed on January 16th. 16th, 5 days ago, by an alleged drunk driver, Juan Alvarado Aguilar. He is in jail, sitting now on a $5 million bond. It was increased yesterday from $250,000 to $5 million. All right. But first, we want to get you back out to the World Economic Forum. President Trump there for most of the morning, making remarks right now, speaking on a number of topics, including the acquisition of Greenland. And he just said, I won't use force on Greenland. Let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News.
Below 6% for the first time in many years. Another major factor in driving up housing costs was the mass invasion of our borders. And I have to say one thing about housing, because nobody ever says this. I am very protective of people that already own a house, of which we have millions and millions and millions. And because we have had such a good run, the house values have gone up tremendously. And these people have become wealthy. They weren't wealthy. They become wealthy because of their house. And every time you make it more and more and more affordable for somebody to buy a house cheaply, you're actually hurting the value of those houses, obviously, because the one thing works in tandem with the other. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the value of people that own a house, who for the first time in their lives are walking around the streets of whatever city they're in, very proud that their house is worth $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Now, if I want to really crush the housing market, I could do that so fast and people could buy houses, but you would destroy a lot of people that already have houses. In some cases, they've mortgaged their house, and the mortgage would be very low, and all of a sudden the mortgage without any changes becomes very high, and they end up losing the house. I'm not going to hurt, and I speak with Scott, who's doing a fantastic job, and Howard, who's doing a fantastic job, and all of my people. And I always say, look, I can crush the hell out of the market. We can drop interest rates to a level, and that's one thing we do want to do. That's natural. That's good for everybody. The dropping of the interest rates, we should be paying a much lower interest rate than we are. We should be paying the lowest interest rate of any country in the world, because without the United States, you don't have a country. I mean, I had a case with Switzerland. We happened to be in Switzerland. Maybe I'll give you a quick story. But they were paying nothing. They make beautiful watches, great watches, Rolex, all of them. They were paying nothing to the United States when they sent their product in. And we had a $41 billion deficit. $41 billion with this beautiful place. Flew over it, isn't it nice? So I said, let's put a 30% tariff on them, so that we get back some of it, not all of it at all. We'd still have a deficit, big deficit. We had 41 million. That's a big deficit. And I said, let's put a tariff on. Different tariffs, different places. You're all party to them. In some cases, victims to them. But in the end, it's a fair thing. And most of you realize that. But we put a 30% tariff on Switzerland. And all hell broke loose. They were calling, like you wouldn't believe. And I know so many people from Switzerland, incredible place, incredible, brilliant place. But I then realized that they're only good because of us. And there's so many other examples. Us and probably other places, but a majority of the money they make is because of us, because we never charged them anything. So they come in, they sell their watches. No tariffs, no nothing. They walk away. They make $41 billion on just us. So I said, no, we can't do that. So I'm going to bring it up. I still would have a deficit pretty substantial, but I brought it up to 30%. And I guess Prime Minister, I don't think President, I think Prime Minister called a woman, and she was very repetitive. She said, no, 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 you cannot do that, 30%. You cannot do that. We are a small, small country. I said, yeah, but you have a big, big deficit. You may be small, but you have a bigger deficit than big countries. He said, no, 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 please, you cannot do it. Kept saying the same thing over and over. We are a small country. I said, but you're a big country in terms of... And she just rubbed me the wrong way, I'll be honest with you. And I said, all right, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it. Do not do this. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I made it 39%. And then all hell really broke out. And I was paid visits by everybody. Rolex came to see me. They all came to see me. But I realized, and I reduced it, because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt them. And we brought it down to a, lower level. Doesn't mean it's not going up, but we brought it down to a lower level. But they pay now, tariff. But I realized that we have many places like that where they're making a fortune because of the United States. Without the United States, they wouldn't be making anything. Think of it, Switzerland made $41 billion on us. And as she said, it's a small place. And I realized with that, I don't know, because she was so aggressive. And I realized in that conversation that the United States is keeping the whole world afloat. Many places, I could give you 6, 7 places just in the people in this little area. I know every one of them. They're looking down. They don't want to see me. They don't want to stare me in the eyes. But they're taking advantage of, everybody took advantage of the United States. But I've been very fair, and I gave them a tariff, and it was fine. But I realized that without us, it's not Switzerland anymore. Without us, it's not any of the countries that are represented here. And we want to work with the countries. We want to work with them. We're not looking to destroy them. I could have said 39, 40%. I could have said I want a 70% tariff, then we make money with Switzerland. But Switzerland would have been probably destroyed, financially destroyed. I don't want to do that. But we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. I hope Scott's listening to this, because we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. Without us, most of the countries don't even work. And then you have the protection factor. Without our military, which is the greatest in the world by far, without our military, you have threats that you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe. You don't have threats because of us, and that's because of NATO. One other thing, and I have to say it so importantly, in the old days, and I used to say I'm the youngest in the room. Now I'm among the older. I hate to say it. I don't feel old, but I'm among the older. But I remember not long ago, 20, 25 years ago, when good news came out about, let's say, the United States. The United States had a great quarter. The United States had a great month. All the stocks went up. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Now when they say the United States had a record quarter, it's unbelievable how well it's doing, all the stocks crash because they say, oh no, inflation, they're going to raise interest rates. And they do. Some of these stupid people like Powell, they raise interest rates. And what they do is they stop you from being successful. It used to be when we had a great quarter, a great month, great earnings, great anything, any good news, the stock market went up. That's the way it's going to be. We got to do that again, because that's the way it should be. Now when we have a great month, they want to kill it. Like we did over 5%. People were surprised. We should do 20%. We could do 25%. When we announce good numbers, and the reason is they're so petrified of inflation. And growth doesn't mean inflation. We've had tremendous growth with very low inflation. In fact, growth can fight inflation, proper growth. So we want to get back to the days when we announce great numbers, because we're going to be announcing phenomenal. You know, all these factories that are being built at record, thousands of businesses are being built right now. Remember, $18 trillion is invested. I think the second number is 3, and that was China many years ago. Investments in the country from outside. 18 trillion, nobody's ever seen. And that's money coming in and building things, factories. Thousands of businesses are being built, thousands. Hundreds of big factories, car plants are moving back to the United States. They're coming in from Canada, they're coming in from Mexico, from Japan. Japan's coming in and building plants here in order to avoid tariffs. They're coming in from China. They're coming in from all over the world. We have more plants being built now, car plants, than we've ever had built, even in the heyday from the 1940s and 50s. And they're bigger. They don't use renovations anymore where they take an old plant, they rip it down, they build a brand new plant, super modern plant. But it's happening at levels that nobody's ever seen. In 2024, the U.S. built less than 2 million new homes, but Biden admitted more than 8 million new migrants. And those days are over. In 2025, for the first time in 50 years, the United States had reverse migration. Boy, that was nice. And these were criminals that were being taken out of our country because they allowed people to come into our country from jails, from gangs, drug dealers, murderers. 11,888 murderers. We've gotten most of them out. And then ICE gets beat up by stupid people from leadership in Minnesota. We actually are helping Minnesota so much, but they don't appreciate it. Most places do. You know, Washington, D.C. is the safest place now in the United States. It was a very dangerous place to walk, and now you can walk with your wife, your kids, right through the middle of the city. Right now, Washington, D.C. is as safe as it gets. It was one of the most unsafe. I had to admit, we sent in the military, the National Guard. Within 2 months, it was great. Within 3 months, it's like a really great place and a safe place and a beautiful place. It's even been cleaned up. The graffiti's gone. The fences are gone. We don't have to worry about fences anymore. All of the places, the grasses are cut and replaced with new grass.
All right, President Trump continues to deliver remarks there from the World Economic Forum. We're going to take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:45 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, I'm Jane Monreal, and this morning as we kick off the new year, many of us are focused on our health, but how often do you think about brain health? The Ivy in South Park, a lot of its mission is focused on brain health, brain wellness, and they're actually offering a free opportunity to learn how small, everyday changes can help protect our memory and cognitive function for years to come. Jenny Yop from the Ivy joining us now to learn more about the upcoming Brain Health Workshop. Jenny, appreciate your time. I know you are in transit, so we're going to hear a little bit of background noise, but we have a very important message this morning. Tell us about the approach from the Ivy to brain health and how it sets it apart from other senior care facilities.
Good morning, Jane. Thank you. And yes, I apologize for any ambient noise. I would say that the Ivy is absolutely unique. First of all, we look like a mountain chalet in the middle of South Park, a club-like environment, very welcoming environment. And Lynn Ivy, our founder and CEO, built the Ivy for the caregiver. That's such a huge priority for us. And of course, we support every day during the week those that are living with adults that are living with cognitive decline, all the different dementias. And it's pretty special because it's very much a people-focused environment, and we just want to provide connection, opportunities to certainly, like you mentioned, there's all types of things that we can do for our brain health to hopefully slow the progression or even mitigate certain conditions or symptoms that we have. And of course, the opportunity for prevention is absolutely a huge priority for us.
Walk us through what participants can expect. It's an 8-week program. What does a typical session look like?
Well, specific to our workshop, we offer this series. This will be our 12th series, I believe, in all these years, but at least twice a year. This Friday will be a launch to that because we have a brilliant, obviously, doctor, the new Shelton chair, Shelton Endowed chair of the Atrium Health, their neurology and all the things that they're trying to do with their partnership with Wake Forest Hospital. And at the Ivy, we try to, in our workshops, we convene the experts from the Charlotte community to come to the Ivy and take a deep dive for our participants. Certainly the science behind it. Everybody wants to know, is this actual, the power of our brain to change, the power of our brain to benefit immediately from our different choices and the environment that we create in our life and that lifestyle. And so the deep dives that our experts take, they are PhDs and MDs throughout those 8 weeks. Participants come in and they get a very deep keynote from that subject matter expert. And then we do a whole lot of hands-on interactive strategic planning for their life once they go back and, are trying to really implement all the different tips and tools that they've learned.
Yeah, it is great to hear from local doctors that, some of these folks who might want to get involved with actually know some of the professionals and the local experts. When it comes to brain health, a lot of us think about maybe we don't have to worry about it until later in life. But why is it important to start thinking about that now?
Well, certainly we have the privilege to live a really long life. It's true that there's some natural aging that happens in our brain. The truth is, I'm almost 59 years old, and when I arrived at the Ivy just 2 years ago, we had 2 members that come in the afternoon specifically because they were living with cognitive decline that were my age. And it is the fastest growing. Unfortunately, right now, the fastest growing is Parkinson's disease, and it's earlier and earlier. But dementia has elevated and diagnosed this Alzheimer's specifically almost 90% since about 2000. So another key thing, though, Jane, is that, I do have a parent that's living with dementia, so I definitely have my up close and personal experience. The empowering aspect to know 20 years before any symptoms. I mean, menopause can make you feel that way sometimes, like what's going on? I'm sorry to be too personal, but there might be moments in our life, but to realize that it's typically 20 years that our brain is really changing before the significant symptoms show up. And to know that the science now, they're so aggressive with the science that really proves we can absolutely impact our brain. It's called neuroplasticity. Our brain absolutely can learn new pathways and build new neurons and neurotransmitter, all the fun science around that. It's real. I mean, I hope that when I exercise and eat well, that I'm helping my heart and avoiding cancer. But the fact that this is the one organ that we have an immediate impact on in a healthful way with our choices, to me is extremely empowering. So glad that we added this pillar to our solutions at the Ivy.
I feel you. I've got brain fog. I don't know what it's about, but maybe it's just the job, or maybe it's life, or the certain time of life. Yeah, all of it, right? Yeah. So you have these upcoming sessions coming up, and for those who want to learn more, what can they expect, and how can they sign up?
I think first and foremost, if anybody's available this Friday morning at the Ivy in South Park, we are hosting, again, Dr. Mia Yang. She's going to provide education for us. She's not just going to be there to promote our workshop. She absolutely will endorse that. She believes very much in a proactive and the empowering approach of being all the different ways that we can help our brain. But that's a great place to start. You don't have to come to that information session. It's 9:30 to 11:30. Our website is theiv.com, and all the programming is pretty clearly registering is very clear on the website. But in any case, you also could come to through the door, and we're not going to turn you away. So Friday morning is a great launch. Our program actually begins Friday, February 6th. We've had almost 200 people graduate from our program over the years, and they're alumni that come back for free as many times as they want. A lot of times people will say, I can't commit every Friday morning for 8 straight weeks. Fully understand that concept, but we do everything we can to make sure they get that information and they get the biggest experience that they can, especially because it tends to be for people that it's really important to them.
Absolutely. All right, very good. This Friday at the Ivy in South Park, and get more information, just a 2-hour informational session. It's free. Who would it hurt, right?
That's right, Jane. Thank you. And just to clarify again, it's not just information, it's education. We really will learn a lot from Dr. Yang, and that'll be if anything, that's a great, I would believe it's worth 2 hours at a time.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you for having us.
Jenny Yop, happy, safe travels to you. Appreciate you taking the time out to let our viewers know what they can expect on this Friday and the services that y'all provide there at the Ivy, doing good work for our folks here.
Thank you. Jane, I just want to add, the reason I'm traveling is because we're actually launching a new program specifically for Parkinson's, those that are living with Parkinson's. So I'm traveling out to Indianapolis for some training.
Oh, wow.
We're very excited about that. So I just had to add that in there. So we're pretty dedicated.
Fantastic.
Thank you for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And perhaps down the line we'll talk about what we can learn on the Parkinson's front as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate
All right.
you. Stay warm.
Appreciate you. You
Okay.
too. All right, take care.
I will. Okie doke. Bye-bye.
Jenny Up from the Ivy again this Friday morning in South Park, and 2 hours of your time, education and information. And we'll be right back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 9:55 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Get you back out to the president. He is at the World Economic Forum, and he's now in a chat format. So let's go ahead and listen in. By the way, we're going to have Chris Mulcahy come here into the studio to talk about winter weather coming up this weekend. But until then, we will listen in to the president again on Live Impact News.
But we're using them judiciously. But I think growth, most importantly, and then cutting costs. Now, if you take a look at Minnesota, $19 billion in fraud and other things. People going to airports, they came into the country, they don't have 10 cents, and they're leaving with hundreds of thousands of cash in their bags. When we get to that, and our DOJ, Pam, and Todd, and all the people that work over there, and all of the people that work in here, I can tell you, Scott Bessent is working on that. It's a priority, right? You have your whole team. We're in there looking for where this money is coming from, how much it is. It could be more than $19 billion. Can you believe that? That's just one state. If we were able to cut out 50% of the fraud, 50%, and we should be able to do better than that, we would have a balanced budget without having to talk about even growth. So we have a lot of options, but we're working very hard on that. That's a big deal. It's not just the protests, the fake protests done by agitators and professional insurrectionists. That's what they are. They're professional troublemakers. But we are looking very strong at the money too in Minnesota and other places.
I think, Mr. President, also the $500 billion invested in artificial intelligence and the frontier technologies last year also were driving growth exponentially in the U.S.
Well, AI has been a big factor. AI is massive. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg showed me a plant where he put it over a map of Manhattan, and it was basically the size of Manhattan. This is not, I said, you got to be kidding. It's a plant that was miles long, miles wide, very high. I don't think it was as high like the Empire State Building, but it was high. And it literally covered most of the island of Manhattan. That's called a big plant. And, when I heard they're going to spend $50 billion building it, I said, if you spend $50 million, you can build a nice little shopping center. If you spend $500 million, you can build a good shopping center. But how do you spend $50 billion? When I looked at this thing, I said, you think you'll be able to do it for that? It's amazing when, some of the plants that I see, and I see them all, and again, so big is we're letting them build their own electric generation. This way we have no problem, and otherwise they'd be complaining. There'd be nobody able to be, we have an old grid system. And not only that, they're going to sell at a very cheap price the excess electricity that they create back into our grid. So that'll solve some problems for certain states that don't have enough electricity.
We also know that on the AI there is fierce competition between the US as the largest economy in the world, 27% of the global GDP and 5% of the global population, not doing that badly, and China. And we know that competition is very tough on AI. I know you're heading to a state visit to China in April. How do you see the US-China relationship moving forward? Are you able to combine this tough competition with also collaboration?
So I've always had a very good relationship with President Xi and with President Putin. Talk about, the larger powers. But I've always had a very good relationship with President Xi of China. He's an incredible man. What he's done is amazing. He's highly respected by everybody. And I do now. I mean, now I have good. It was very severely interrupted by COVID. I used to call it the China virus, but he said, do you think you could use a different name? And I decided to do that because why should we have a problem over that? But I would do that, and they were
a true diplomat, huh?
I became a diplomat for the first time. Well, who taught me that? Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio. He said, let me teach you about diplomacy. Hey, any guy that gets approved by 100% of the votes, think of it, he got liberal Democrats and radical right Republicans to approve him. He's the only one. The next one was lost 45 votes, right? But he got all 100 votes voting for him. And at first I wasn't happy about it. I said, wait a minute, I don't like that. And now it turns out that the Democrats probably wish they didn't do that. And Marco has been fantastic. Marco, stand up, please. You have done a great job as Secretary of State. He's going to go down as the best Secretary of State. And Scott, and we have Susie, who's the first female Chief of Staff, and she's the best Chief of Staff, too. And I see Howard Lutnick, who I know spoke, and Howard's fantastic. Some of the deals we're doing are great. And I want to pay particular attention because we have Chris. And Chris, you got up and spoke, I think. He's the #1 oil man in the world, because I was going to put Doug Burgum, who's fantastic. I don't know if Doug's here. Is Doug here? Doug Burgum is fantastic. He said, "Sir, there's one man better than me." And he introduced me to Chris, and he turns out to be. So we're drilling more oil and gas now than we ever have by almost double. Is that right, Chris? And on top of it, we got a lot coming out of Venezuela. So anyway, so we're doing great. The country is just doing great. We have great people. Thank you. And I see other people. We have Steve Witkoff. We have Jared. I got so many people. I'm in trouble because when I go back, they're going to be people with long faces. Sir, you didn't introduce me. I got so many people. And we have a lot of the greatest people anywhere in the world. I know them all. So I won't continue because we'd be here all day.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also know that you're a deal maker, and then maybe coming back to Greenland and Ukraine. What kind of deal in the end do you see between the U.S. And Denmark? Because, you know, I guess you see it now as a negotiation going on, or?
Well, it's costing Denmark hundreds of millions a year to run it. And Denmark's a small country and wonderful people. But, you know, it's very expensive. It's a very big piece of ice. And it's very important. I mean, I don't want to repeat the speech, but it's very important that we use that for national and international security. That can create a power that will make it impossible for the bad guys to do anything against the perceived good ones. And it's a great block for Europe. Just like, you know, Denmark was supposed to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. They didn't spend the money. They didn't spend anything almost. And we'll see what happens. I just say this. NATO has treated the United States of America very unfairly. We never asked for anything. We never got anything. We actually took care of the needs of NATO for years and years, which I felt was always unfair. So I got NATO to pay because they're rich countries. But I think it's time that NATO step up. We're helping them with Ukraine. Without us, I think Putin would have gone all the way. I think we have it. I think there could have been a World War III, if you want to know the truth. If Kamala was elected, or Joe, any one of those, you know, those thinkers, I think you could have ended up in World War III. And I will say Steve Witkoff has been dealing incredibly with, but we're not going to have World War III. We want to get it stopped, but we're not going to have World War III. I think if I wasn't elected, I think that could have evolved into World War III. It was a very, very bad situation, and it still is, but it's not that kind of bad. It's bad because so many young people are being killed.
How close do you think there is on an agreement on Ukraine? I had the pleasure of speaking with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner yesterday. I know they're working hard on it. I know that they're also traveling now. Do you see this very close or still?
Well, I hate to say it. I thought that was going to be, so I settled 8 wars plus. And I thought that was going to be one of my easier ones. Not the easiest. Some I settled in a matter of hours because I'm good at that stuff. You know, the United Nations should be doing this. I shouldn't be doing it, but it doesn't matter. It's got to get done, saving a lot of lives. We're saving millions of lives. With Ukraine, Russia, there's tremendous hatred between President Zelensky and President Putin. That's not good. That's not good for settlements. We know from dealing. There's abnormal hatred. With that being said, I think Russia wants to make a deal. I think Ukraine wants to make a deal. And we're going to try getting a deal done. We're getting, I think, Steve, I think I can say that we're reasonably close. What happens is oftentimes we'll have a deal with Russia. Russia's set, and President Zelensky will not do it. You saw that when he was in the Oval Office. I was not happy. And then we'll have President Zelensky wants to make a deal, and Putin doesn't want to make the deal. It's a very difficult balance, and it's big time, and it is, you know, to use a word, it's a bloodbath. It's horrible what's happening. It's a drone war. The drones are killing, you know, thousands of people a week, thousands. We have to get it stopped. So I believe they're at a point now, I'm going to meet with President Zelensky later today. I believe they're at a point now where they can come together and get a deal done. And if they don't, they're stupid. That goes for both of them. And I know they're not stupid, but if they don't get this done, they are stupid. So I don't want to insult anyone, but you got to get this deal done. Too many people are dying. It's not worth it.
President Sisi is sitting on the first row here. He spoke earlier today and also complimented you on the Gaza deal. I think there will be a signing tomorrow. Of course, there are different views on this, but how important do you think this signing is on the Board of Peace? And do you think this is going to sustain? Do you think we now will see Gaza reconstructed and billions of US dollars invested?
I do. I mean, I think we have peace in the Middle East. There are some little situations like Hamas, and Hamas has agreed to give up their weapons. Now, you know, they were born with a weapon in their hand, so it's not easy to do. When they were born with a rifle in their hand. It's not an easy thing for them, but that's what they agreed to. They've got to do it. And we're going to know, Jared, over the next 2 or 3 days, certainly over the next 3 weeks, whether or not they're going to do it. If they don't do it, they'll be blown away very quickly. They'll be blown away. You know, we have 59 countries that are part of that whole peace deal. And some of those countries aren't even they're near the Middle East, but they're not in the Middle East traditionally. And they want to come in and take out Hamas. They want to come in. They want to do whatever they can. There's a problem with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and we'll see what happens there, but that's a problem. But there are these little flames, but there's peace in the Middle East. Now, had we not gone in and knocked out with those big, beautiful, we just ordered 25 brand new ones, the latest and the greatest, the B-2 bomber. Think of them, they went in there at 2 o'clock in the morning with no moon, no light, no nothing, and every single one of those massive bombs hit its target, 100,000-pound bombs hit its target, every one of them. And then on top of it, from a submarine 300 miles away, we hit the sites with.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Chris Mulcahy in the Live Impact studio. And wow, we had a lot to talk about this morning. So we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. It's 10:10 on a Wednesday morning. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, so meteorologist Chris Mulcahy now in the Live Impact studio. And I just want to turn the floor to you because I heard a little bit of what you said earlier this morning. I know I'm going to be preparing and running around town today because I want everything done and so I can hunker down this weekend.
Well, first off, I want to be serious with everyone here. And I'm usually a Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky and everything like that. But I almost feel like I'm outside my comfort zone, that it's still technically day 4 of the forecast, and I'm saying things like historic ice storm and things like that. And we were just talking casually. The last time I think I was this passionate talking about a day 4 of the forecast was the Monday before Helene. And I was in the meeting and I was just saying, because people are used to me being pretty much Mr. Gloom and Doom, worst case scenario, but I'm being straight up with you. This could be one of the most historic ice storms to hit Charlotte in modern history. And the way I put this in perspective, it was back in 2002. We had a ½ inch to an inch of ice. It was crippling. And Nick Sturtevant actually brought up, because he's from North Carolina, that he remembers that they were out of power for 2 weeks.
What?
There's a chance that we could have power outages last for days to weeks from Dallas, Texas to Dallas, North Carolina. So I just want everyone to be in perspective that as far as the setup goes, this is pretty much a once-in-a-decade setup. The last time that we had any sort of widespread freezing rain that was really impactful was 2016. The time before that, 2002. The time before that, 1994. If you notice a correlation, they're all kind of within that decade-ish time frame. Now we're talking about 2026. And straight up, what's new compared to the last time that I was over here talking to you or on WCNC Plus was ice potential up, snow potential trending down, and rain potential not really a factor. There are some outside models that are showing, oh, you could have a brief change over to rain. We get above freezing on Sunday, but then, hey, that's just going to refreeze through the overnight. So I think what's going to really confuse a lot of people is that you're going to walk outside and you're going to say, oh, it's just rain. And then next thing you know, you're going to be on the ground. The last time I can remember having, I think it was 0.4 inches of ice. I was working in Ohio at that point. I thought I was being sneaky. I walked on the grass. Next thing you know, I'm on my derriere. I slipped on the grass. Just think about that. So if we put that 0.4 on the sidewalks, on the roads, it's going to be extremely impactful. Now, some of the salt and everything they're going to put down, that's going to be helpful in some spots. However, not everywhere. If we get a heavy enough ice accumulation, it can only do so much. That some cars could be completely covered where you almost have to chisel them free, and we don't really have a way to get above that. So that's kind of like my main warning here, that our impacts are heavy ice and snow, but ice is trending as the front runner by far, and it keeps trending up. And then extended travel issues and power outages. It takes a 1/4 inch of ice to knock off power. It takes a ½ inch of ice to knock it out for days. And I really think that that's a good possibility. That I was measuring some of our models about showing how far the ice impacts really go. Well, from the Carolina shoreline to northeastern Texas, it's about 1,300 to 1,400 miles that we have a swath of potential freezing rain or winter weather that the South doesn't handle very well. So this is a huge event that we're seeing from Texas up through the Carolinas, and I want everyone to be safe. But here's the time to prepare. So this is my advice to you. Being honest, and I get it, how many times have we said that there's a snow event and then it busts? We went 3 years without really anything. This is one that is not going to bust. The only way that it's going to be quote, quote, bust territory is we only receive a little bit of ice and we were okay. We didn't really lose power, but it's still not going to be a great Sunday. The worst case scenario is that cities shut down and we are dealing with impassable roads. But regardless, what I want everyone to do is, because we were super warm, then we've cooled down, your tires might be low and you might not even realize it. Because every 10 degrees the temperature drops, you lose 1 to 2 psi in the tires. Then, if you compact ice and snow around them, they're cooling down even more. So you got to also put that in. It was almost like putting your tire literally in the freezer. So I want everyone to maximize even 2 psi above what it actually suggests, because that will drop, especially as we're back down the teens. So that's advice number 1. Also, number 2, people are going to wait. You will see a busier grocery store today, but I guarantee it, and you can trust me here, that there is not a world that myself and Brad Panovich go this early on a weather alert unless we are really confident. The only thing we're not confident in is what's going to fall. So you're either talking about more snow moving back in, but regardless, there's going to be ice. This is still one of the worst storms we've had in a decade. It's going to shut things down. Luckily, it's on a Sunday, and likely, I think almost 99%, there's no school for the kids on Monday. Don't bank on that, but I would be highly, highly surprised. All right, so emergency supplies. You ideally want to get the food and the water, everything you need. We have those big 5-gallon blue things that are always great to have. That's always a really good idea. Have as much water as possible, because for me, I actually have a well water. So if the power goes out, I have no water. There's nothing that you can do there. So you need to be prepared for that. One thing about the winter events, unlike summer, if you lose power for your groceries, you can literally put it outside on the ice and you're going to be okay because temperatures are below freezing, but your milk might freeze. But you got to actually start thinking about these things, what you're preparing around the home. And number one is make sure, if you have one, and if you don't, go get one, your carbon monoxide detectors are working. So especially those that like to have fires indoors trying to stay warm, CO deaths, carbon monoxide deaths, are the highest during events like these, big time snow events and big time ice events. So everyone needs to know about that. And also, if you're using candles, you got to be extra safe. I would honestly use the lanterns with batteries, because you forget, candle is still aflame, and then a lot of these points, especially after this event, it's going to be so cold, the water flow is going to be slower than normal for some of these firefighters, and if we do get a big ice event, it's going to be tough for them to travel. So you got to be mindful about everything you do. Live in the moment. Don't let your mind wander. Make sure that you have everything possible, and prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's what we're preparing for the worst and hope for the best, because this is the 1,400-mile swath that I'm talking about. This light blue is a 70 to 90% chance for a base 2 to 3 inches of snow, which is still really problematic. The most that we have seen really since, I think it was 2018, that we saw at least 2 inches of snow. This is still going to at least do that, or a 1/4 inch of ice for the minimum. I'm going to show you 2 of the models. This is the one that I don't like. This one shows pretty much a dry Saturday. We're weather alert starting Saturday, but more so during the evening. You have the freezing rain really start to take over, and there's a chance that you could have sleet too. So sleet's just essentially little ice pellets, so you can have pellets of ice that could have freezing rain that fills it in. But the problem with this scenario is, think about, you have a jar full of like marbles. There's the spaces in between, but then you pour water in, that space is going to be filled. That essentially is what could happen here, that you're almost going to have layers of ice on top of that. So even if we get snow or sleet beforehand, that actually accumulates much faster than, say, just ice in general. That's going to allow even a thicker layer of crust of ice across the area. But this is 3 a.m. Watch. That's 1 p.m. That's showing over 12 hours of either sleet or ice accumulation across the area. This model does show some rain move in, but I don't like this. Even if somehow we get above freezing and it's just plain rain, well, it's back below freezing, and then we're talking about more of a refreeze. Meanwhile, Model 2 has more snow initially, but still, especially around the I-85 corridor, ice takes over. So plain and simple, what's happening here is that we will have ice. It's just about if the snow is going to try to make it come back a little bit more. There is one scenario that I do have that snow kind of wins out, but as of right now, unless you're in the mountains, ice looks to be the dominant factor, and regardless, should be done by Sunday evening, heading into Monday morning. So focusing in on the different models one more time, if you are a snow lover, so for this case and scenario, hold on one sec, track number 1, this is what you want. This is now to be the least likely one. The most likely one that we're going to see is an icy mix, especially around the I-85 corridor up to about I-40, maybe a little bit more snow north of I-40, but certainly up into Virginia, and then rain is remaining well to the south. The one we don't want is going to be this, and that's where you have icy mix across the entirety of the area. That's the longer range, and I already showed you what the Futurecast looks like, that multiple hours of freezing rain, because most of our events we've had in recent years when it's freezing rain, it's 30, 32 degrees. So that means whenever you have a freeze, it actually releases heat back in the atmosphere. So it could be 28 degrees, and by the end of the freezing rain event, it actually stops because temperatures are back above freezing, just because it's constantly releasing that heat. The problem with this is we could be in the 20s, and it might get us into the upper 20s, but you're still sub-freezing during the entirety of this, and then you're back below through the overnight. Regardless, get what you need to do now so you do not need to drive later on because it might not be a possibility. So I want to show you model number 1. I took the numbers off because I don't want to scare anyone, just make you more aware. The American model, so these are long-range ones. By tomorrow, we're going to have a sneak peek of what some of the other ones are showing, which are a little bit more reliable, being honest with you. That deep purple represents the max here. That means that you're having heavy ice accumulation, likely over a ½ inch. And I'll bring up the graphics in. ½ inches, roads are impassable, widespread power outages, sometimes lasting for days, because that adds 500 pounds onto branches and power lines. And we've also been under a drought, because guess what? Drought weakens some of these trees. So if a tree's already drying, that's a lot more branches falling than you realize. So we have more branches coming down that. So that's the problem with drought, is it doesn't impact you right away, but it can catch up to you. So that's one factor here. Okay, well, let's go the European model. I actually trust the European model more. Maybe you're going to be more optimistic for us. Nope, deep purple. The only one thing with this is it's showing a little less down towards the south. The European model has been really aggressive with ice, and I was like, okay, well, maybe you don't have a handle on it. Well, both of them are showing epic ice proportions, and I was trying to look back in North Carolina history the last time that we had something this epic as far as any ice totals. If this comes to fruition, that was back in 2002, and as I had mentioned, Nick Sturdivant said it was down for weeks. So that's going to be a possibility. Here's your snow comparison. The Euro, the one that I trust, shows barely any snow here. So that shows at least half a day, minimum half a day of ice accumulation. The setup that we have is the perfect storm as far as ice storms go for widespread ice. I don't think anything's going to avoid it. The only saving grace is somehow big changes and snow takes over, but that's looking less likely. This GFS still has mainly ice south of I-85. Yeah, you have it right on the ribbon of Charlotte. It's more so along I-40 and up in the mountains. But then if you do the consensus of that, it has everything lifting north. So we wanted it to lift north, but now it's almost too late. Now we want it to move back south because I don't think we're going to get it far enough north that we get all rain and then we escape this. But I also want to bring something up in weather history that I thought was really interesting. Today was the coldest day in North and South Carolina history. So check this out. It was back in 1985, January 21st, that we had -19 for temperature at Caesars Head in South Carolina. And then on top of Mount Mitchell, the tallest point, -34. That is actual air temperature, not factoring in the wind chills because we had a big Arctic blast. Meanwhile, for the Charlotte area, -5 is the number we have not been able to drop down below. But we did it. It was back in 1880, 1899 on Valentine's Day, but it was January 21st, 1985 of that, but Charlotte also had one of its coldest temperatures. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, which makes it really interesting, is we had essentially this setup, but one thing was missing. What made it so cold then is that literally you had a deep Arctic drop where you're seeing that rotating H move closer to the Carolinas. That would have happened if you didn't have Exhibit B. That is going to be this low pressure system. Oh, it's so fast getting out of here. With this moving up, it essentially starts pushing that high pressure system back. But we already have fronts that roll through, keeping us on the cooler side. Oftentimes when we have these events, usually we're in like the 50s or at least the 40s. We're going to be in the 30s on Saturday before this even arrives, so that doesn't really help us out. But it's essentially that colder air moving in with moisture coming out of the south that gives you the perfect setup that realistically, if there was no winter weather here, you're talking about several inches of rain. But since this is still the drier season, 1 to 2 inches of water will fall. It just depends, is that going to be more snow, more sleet, or freezing rain? Regardless, all those are forms of ice. So that's why I have been over the top saying you have no idea how crazy of a setup this is, that we could have a historic ice storm, one of the worst at least, that the South has ever seen. Maybe the North Carolina gets some saving grace, but that's many miles, millions of people impacted by this. This is a major national story. Welcome to winter. So over the next couple of days, what are we going to do? We're going to prepare. You're going to trust us that this is going to be an event. Worst comes to worst, it's less precipitation. Hey, that wasn't as bad as they said. That's fine. But I'm here. I don't want to be the person that says, oh, okay, there's no way that we're going to break history. I'm sorry. We keep on breaking history for multiple weather events. So when I'm seeing things that are historic values, now day 6, now day 5, now day 4, I'm sticking with it that we're going to prepare for the worst again, and then hope for the best. So 60 degrees tomorrow, that's your time to kind of move things in. So say if like I have JT has this like toy bin outside that has a cover. It's open right now. I don't want all that ice and water getting in there. Just kind of go around your house and try to manage that. I already told you about what to do for your car. I would get the gas today because guess what? Once you get to Friday, there will be a time you're going to see it. The people still don't believe that this is a thing. They think I'm getting messages that are just like, all right, calm down, weatherman. It's going to be just rain. Not this time. Not this time. Yes, you're going to look out your window and you're like, see, I told you it was just rain. That's freezing rain. This is going to happen. The only hope that we have is that it is a lesser event than talking about the decade scenario. Regardless, I want to have everyone to have everything done by Saturday morning. Saturday morning, I think you can still do things. The earliest precipitation I am seeing is for the morning. Maybe you see some flurries, but it's the Saturday evening. So after 4, I'm calling it. That's where things can go downhill. I have 7 to 7. I think it's really going to be the worst. But as you can see, I have a low of 21 on Sunday, a high of 29. That's keeping that ice around. A low of 26, barely getting to freezing with not that much sunshine. That doesn't have a chance to evaporate, so that means it's refreezing with a low of 13 on Tuesday. That's why I don't think there's any school on Monday and maybe even Tuesday, depending on how this goes. So again, it's an uncomfortable spot for me to be again up here saying, wow, this really could be that much of a doomsday, but a ½ inch of ice, we mention this all the time, is nothing to joke about. I would rather have 8 inches of snow than even a ½ inch of ice the way things are shaping up.
I mean, we have to be here this weekend. We're concerned about having to drive in. I'm concerned about having to drive in on Monday morning. Yeah, I'm just kind of left with how do I
I only have
tactically
a one-car
get to
garage.
work.
I have a 2-car garage, so it's either my car's in or Greg's car's in. It's like, who's
Check your
who's it
tires.
gonna be?
Because
Gotta
there's a
check
chance
the
if you're
tires.
heading in the morning, like say if even the sun has risen up, that your car is completely covered in a ½ inch of ice. You literally need a chisel to get that
Right.
out. And for those that have garages, your garage could be frozen shut.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Right.
like you have to really think of it because, for instance, we had far less covering our cars on Monday morning when we had that widespread frost, and I had to really pull on my door to get it open.
Same.
Imagine if you have an absolute coating, because we purposely are not showing you the values here because some of them are ridiculous, especially the snow ones. They're out to lunch. But the fact is that that deep purple represents mega levels, crippling ice values. That's starting to be an agreement is scary. Now there's the mid-range models that can start to bring this up. Still, even a ½ inch of ice is not good, especially here. We had a little bit of snow. I think we had 3 events that it was less than a ½ inch last year, and there was one of them that was a ½ inch, and I just remember the amount of incidents that were happening. People were sliding all over the place, and that was just snow. So just email Lawrence. You can say, all right, Chris, you're overreacting. You know me. I am one of the most straight shooters, honest with you. I'll tell you if I know. I'll tell you if I don't know. The consensus with this is bananas, and I'm just here as your friend, hoping that the worst case scenario doesn't come true.
Well, I mean, yeah, we definitely appreciate the guidance as
Of course,
well
yeah.
of what we should be preparing for, looking out for, our cars, our homes, all of the things. James, I don't know if you saw this. James Barton sent this picture in about buying snow melt, and that was last night
Already.
Shelves are emptying out. So, and it will help with a little bit, but you know, if you think about some of those major roads or even coming out of your neighborhood,
Yeah.
and it might take days to get to even try to clear your little side street.
Yeah, and see, that's the biggest problem here, and it's kind of a bummer. I wish I had snow because snow could be fun for the kids afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unless you have ice skates, walking on ice is no fun. So
Oh my goodness. All
yeah,
right.
and Nick Sturtevant's actually right over there. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, and
Hey, Nick.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
come
Jump
on, just
on
set
in.
up right here.
We're just doing this little round table because he dropped your name and gave you a shout out that you remember the storm that took power out for a couple of days.
2002, Chris mentioned 2 years. 2002, we had a big ice. We had a lot more snow, but it was a lot of ice. We were out of power for 2 weeks.
And where were you?
I was in High Point.
Point? Okay.
I was in High Point. And I think Chris mentioned and pointed out it it affected everywhere, but the High Point, Greensboro, Winston-Salem area got hit hard. We were out of power for 2 weeks. The only thing that was open was like a KFC.
Wow.
2 weeks, and I knew people that had propane heaters in their home, had oven door. This is stuff you should not do.
Exactly.
But because out of desperation, you got to think. 2002, you know, you didn't have social media where you could hop on and say and Google what to do, what not to do, and you didn't have power, so you couldn't watch the news. So that was sort of the reality. It was cool at first when we missed school for the first few days, but 2 weeks is a long
That is a
time.
long time.
It's a long time. It felt like an eternity. And then 2015, I remember I was in Florence, South Carolina, covering. We dubbed it Snowmageddon, and we got a lot of ice. And so I was telling some of our reporters who are going to be covering this stuff, you know, hey, what we did. We set up the live truck. We parked it at our hotel just as a backup, and we slept at our hotel, and we popped outside and we did live shots.
Live shots,
We
yeah.
didn't move. We were, very
stayed
transparent
safe.
about it. But those are the two big storm events in the last 20 odd years that I remember.
Carly, I'm actually sending you a picture, if we can try to share it here in a second. I'll see how much it blows up for you as far as like size-wise. But this is actually from NC State. So they have a climate office. And this recaps December 4th, 2002, as far as freezing rain and snow accumulations. Well, letting you know, and you'll see this here shortly, is they had some values up to about a ½ inch to an inch, and that was pretty much from northern Mecklenburg County all the way up through northern Raleigh, as you're seeing here. And that's one of the big reasons why we saw such a power grid outage with that. And they saw snow with this. But the reason why I'm showing you this too, and I'll bring up my weather graphics again, is that purple that I kept on talking about. Here, let's go back to this. So here, there it is. That purple that I'm showing you here, and that's what we don't have the numbers because you glob onto that. The comparison that we're going to see here, purple is representing over a ½ inch. So it'd be a very similar situation. As I quoted in the meeting that we had that I learned about Nick's story, is that history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it rhymes. And I'm saying there's a lot of things that rhyme with this system comparatively, especially in December. There's more moisture involved usually, that everything is pretty much lining up for there. But yeah, no, like looking back at that storm event, I think that's the one that really closely kind of correlates. And property damage, they're representing just here in North Carolina alone $100 million in damage from the ice. That's another thing that we're not really mentioning, that this potentially across multiple states could be $1 billion disaster as far as things go, because that also includes cars, accident, power lines having to be repaired. This is a big one, not just for us, across multiple states.
Take it serious.
Yep.
Chris, you pointed out too, every 10 years, I'm thinking back in my brain, I'm like, yeah, we do have like a big sort of winter weather event every 10 years in the Carolinas.
Yeah, so we just said 2002. Let's bring it up. So that's and if you look at the bottom right there, I know there's a bunch of numbers there. That big white area, that's where you have the ½ inch to an inch of ice. And that is a possibility. Usually I've seen these before. I'm like, okay, this is now 3 days in a row that they said this is a possibility. I'm not going to calm down my demeanor until I start to see it start to simmer down. So I was just like, okay, this is where we're going.
Yeah.
And then that had a little bit more snow to the north. Charlotte still had anywhere from about a quarter to a ½ inch of ice in there. But what Nick's bringing up, it was 2015, 2016, there was each ice storms there. Before that was 1994. So think about it, 1994, 2002, and then 2015, 2016. So, and tomorrow I'm going to try to kind of piece those together a little bit more, but it just really shows the correlation. This is a once in a decade thing. It's like, I think that it takes about every 10 years that we have that perfect setup between cold air, moisture that blasts us here in the Carolinas.
I was saying I'm preparing for like a hurricane, you know, charging the extra battery packs, get the water per 1 gallon per person for at least 3 days. What else do we do? The little lanterns. Yeah, bad, but it's basically power and water for now is what I can think of.
Yeah, and I have an old house, so I have terrible windows, and then I saw what the price of windows were, and I was like, well, we're just going to have a cold house or a high heating bill.
Yeah.
But realistically, putting that plastic stuff up is really helpful, and if you have an attic that you pull down.
Yeah.
I bought this as it was fantastic. That literally it's like a space blanket type material that you staple around it and then you zip it up. I feel the difference. So doing those little tricks of putting the plastic up on your windows or doing that type of stuff where air is getting in, now's the time to do it because we're going to be much colder beyond that. But then we brought up other things. Think about your life and make it icy. It's going to take a lot of imagination. Because we mentioned it was like, oh, well, I'll park my car in the garage. Well, what happens if your garage is frozen shut? Oh, I'm going to leave my car outside. Oh, what happens if it's completely encased in ice? There are just so many things that are going to happen here. So the only way for you to really avoid it all is don't go anywhere. Now, some people, I know that's impossible, but I guarantee you a lot of the businesses that you love to go to are going to be closed from this event if this scenario comes true. Because, again, I feel ridiculous, everyone's. That's 4 days out. That I'm talking like it's tomorrow. But the fact is that you have such a clear setup that all of us are pretty much saying, oh, no. Yeah. So that's why I'm here. I'm hoping that everyone comes up to me on Monday and is like, that wasn't that bad at all, Chris.
Right.
And I was like, but I also don't want to be sitting here and it's like, wow, I wasn't prepared for that. So I'm going to say this line one more time. Prepare for the worst. Let's start praying for the best.
You were in the morning meeting, Nick?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how are we getting our resources out there? Do you
Oh yeah, we
wanna talk about that?
We had a healthy conversation about
yeah.
it.
I know tomorrow. Oh, James is here now.
James is
All right,
ice
James.
melter.
James got how many ice?
Jane, we'll start the bidding at $50. $50.
We joke. Ice melt.
That is a hefty ice melt,
I thought it was Tide.
Here, take my picture. This is
I
great.
thought so
It does
too.
look like a little Tide.
Yeah, no Tide Pods here. This is
Very
man, that
nice.
is sizable.
That's a good.
Oh, that's great.
Good for you. You
No, you gave it to me. It is mine.
It's a hot commodity right now.
seriously.
That's why you buy the ice melt in the summertime, in the spring. I've
Yeah,
heard that,
why
so,
would
you
it's
know,
on
hey,
sale?
buy-
Now we know.
Again, but people move to North Carolina and South Carolina, not for that reason. But here's what we're working on. We have Anna King. She's going to be in East Charlotte, mainly focusing on. You see it every year or every time a winter event. The hardware stores, the grocery
Right.
stores. Those are where the people are at.
Yeah.
They're preparing. So
Yeah.
she's going to be in East Charlotte, an area where you don't see a lot of resources. You don't see a lot of grocery stores. So people kind of have to travel. So she's going to be in that area.
Okay.
Bria's talking to first responders, how they're preparing for winter weather. Just because Chris says stay home, EMS, they don't have the luxury of doing that.
Yeah.
They have to be out there saving lives. So I'm praying that they're safe. But she's going to talk to them. And then Walker Lawson is going to speak with Duke Energy about preps, also how to save energy, save a few bucks.
Yeah.
Potentially in this winter weather event. I don't even know what to call it at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we're working on. They're all
One
going to
for the
be on the
ages.
stream this afternoon. So yeah, we're busy.
All right, and I know tomorrow we're going to bring on Blue Ridge Energy up there in Lenore because we are expecting. I saw from the map, Chris. You probably going to see some snow. It's really going to be cold up there in our northern counties for our viewing area, as well as our animals and pets. We have Melissa Nicely coming in from Animal Care and Control tomorrow
Nice,
morning
okay.
to prepare our furry friends. And yeah, we're just going to line them up and bring them in here on the stream. So special content to get you prepared for this wintry storm.
Well, and I'm just going to tell you guys following this, but then also if you want to follow at home, if you have any service, because I don't know how the cell towers are going to fare from this, poweroutage.us is my favorite site for these type of events or weather events because it breaks it down per county and it doesn't just factor in Duke. It also factors in all of the different power companies we have across the Carolinas. So that's really helpful. So it's poweroutage.us. You can select South Carolina, North Carolina, kind of shows you the real-time updates so you can actually see what's going on there because that's the number one effect. So I'm telling you live here as your coworkers. As you can see there, it's really nice. Yeah.
I wrote it down, poweroutage.us.
Yeah, if you just do poweroutage.us, type that into Google, however you want to do that, and then you can direct it because technically it's /area/state/North Carolina. But that is a really nice tool to kind of see that. Of course, if you're a Duke customer, you're going to be following them for your own personal need, but just be patient with them, because if my worst case scenario does play out, we could be in for the long haul. So this is the day to prepare. As I mentioned, it's going to start ramping up. You do not want to be the person that waits until Friday. If James is already showing that the ice melt is sold out,
Yep.
Slowly but surely.
He went last night, Stone Creek.
Yeah.
It was sold out.
I just want to say something else. Check on the elderly, your grandparents,
one.
your neighbor, your folks in church, or whoever, wherever you meet them, even if you don't know them and you know they live there, just check on them, because this is tough. Again, I remember back in 2002, there were a lot of elderly folk, including my grandparents, and we had to constantly check on them. So just make sure you check on those folks.
Please.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about church services on Sunday,
Yeah.
will people go? Will they close down church?
I
Will
would
they
hope
just do
not.
this virtual?
Treat it like school.
Yeah.
Treat it like school, okay.
The church will.
We gotta check on them.
Oftentimes, I think we scroll things at the bottom. I think a lot of churches are going to be writing in, and a lot of people had concerts to go to.
Yes.
I'd be surprised. Again, a lot of things have to change, and I'm not on here to completely discount it. I think at worst we're dealing with like a moderate impact, which is still not good, because here in the Carolinas, moderate for the rest of the United States is like, okay, it's survivable. Here in the North Carolina, this is my impression. Because this is also the other problem, especially for driving here. Like, say, even if it's drivable conditions, you have people from New York that are used to the Jersey Turnpike, the New York Turnpike, and then you have people like my lovely neighbor Skip. Actually, no, he has a hot rod, so he knows how to go fast. But you have people here that are used to kind of smelling the roses mentality, that they aren't moving as fast. So you have so many different types of drivers, that some are more aggressive, some are a little more lax, that also leads to pandemonium whenever we have these big weather events. So that's why I just say you could be the best driver in the world, but there's only so much you can do with ice, and you can only control other people so much.
And I was going to say, Chris, you bring up a point thinking about people who have not witnessed this kind of event. Certainly, I've only been here now for just over 4 years. And so the unexpected, I mean, I've lived in Denver, I've lived through snow, I've driven through it all, and it is not fun, and black ice out there in Denver. But just to think about, where your origins come from, and you might be coming in from the Midwest, and it's a little different here in the South, and up from New York, you might be used to snow, but how about all of this ice that we're talking about, and our city's response to it too? That might be a challenge for folks waiting.
Sorry, I was just distracted because I was actually able to pull up old maps about the 2002 map, and the cold air lobe that came down from the polar vortex and everything like that. Very similar to what we have right now. So again, it's rhyming. I'm hoping for the best. Do you know what? I want everyone here on Monday to say, man, Chris, you
What are you talking about?
You freaked out, man. Seriously, this is one of my biggest passions outside of my family and my Boston sports teams, is that I want to keep you safe, and I will put even my reputation on the line if I truly believe something. Yeah. I believed in Helene, and people metaphorically spat in my face. And it's one of those things. It's because, I'm sorry, seeing is believing. And there's part of me that's even saying, nah, Chris, you're being ridiculous. That's why I keep on saying this. Because but sometimes you have to step outside your comfort zone. That's why I'm doing that. So we are all together in this room, everyone watching. We all don't want this. But at least now we know it could happen. So now let's start lucky rabbit's foot, 4-leaf clovers, prayers, whatever we can to try to get this away. But
I mean, like you said, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I'm pulling up this ice accumulation. This is one of your models.
Yes.
With the deep purple.
Yeah.
And but either way, we're seeing purple. We're seeing heavy, dark purple.
Yeah, and let's see. Actually, the best thing about being on the same weather system is you sometimes don't have to adjust things, because Brad actually just updated the graphic that I showed at the beginning.
Oh,
so
great.
let's see if we agree with Brad. All right, track 1, we were talking about more snow. This one I think is the least likely. We were saying track number 2 with layers of ice. Yeah, he hasn't changed this too much. This is pretty much what we had before. I agree with that. Okay, the only thing that really changed for the crippling ice is it's still more snow in the mountains. So I think there's one thing that we can take from this. Brad, thank you very much. Shout out to you. You'll be back in a little bit later on. The only thing that's really changed, Brad said this and we saw this earlier, one consensus we can have, if you live around Charlotte and I-85, you are looking at majority ice. You probably see snow at one point, but ice is your jam, not in a good way. The mountains, snow looks to be your primary, with some of pretty much the opposite, more snow with some ice mixing in. And then the I-40 corridor, you're kind of the most up in the air exactly what's going to happen here. Because I was showing you this earlier. This is the only ones we really feel comfortable showing you. It's the long-range models. The one that I trust the most is the one that's kind of saying Ice-mageddon, and that's keeping just snow in the mountains as we mentioned. But then these ones right here, pretty much the cutoff is the Charlotte area. This one's north of the Charlotte area. So what we're doing is we're piecing things together. So at least we know more ice, the general timing, late Saturday through Sunday. And the hardest thing about this event is I can't say the technical end time, because we're below freezing and ice is ice. It's not just going to disappear right away. Yeah. So I will pretty much say Saturday through Sunday until further notice. Be safe.
All right. Everyone be safe, everybody. Thank you for that.
Hope for snow.
Chris, hope for snow. It's still got to be bad.
I would have left that in here.
What is that? What did you need?
Clicker.
It's
I just saw it.
So it's our weather clicker. We have 5 of them, and there is usually once per day that I have no idea where one of them is. And also I'm the type of person that if I say goodbye to you, likely you're going to see me again because I forgot something.
Yeah,
so thank you.
that happens all the time.
It's a phone. Yeah, no, I can't have a work phone and a regular phone. I'm gonna put this in my pocket now before I forget.
Please. All right. Very good. Nick, we'll see you here at 12:30.
Bonus Nick time. Appreciate it. There we go.
Okay. And we need it all. And so that was a great comprehensive check of the weather. And in real time, the updates, we need it all. We'll be watching it all. We'll have this extra coverage for you here on WCNC Plus. Right now, we need to take a break on Live Impact News. We'll see you in about 2 minutes. All right, welcome back to Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 10:49. I'm going to spend the last few minutes here with a previously recorded interview with Miller Yoho. He is from the Charlotte Sports Foundation. They had a big announcement yesterday. We were not able to play that recording, but what it means for the city, I'll leave that all up to this previously recorded interview now for you on WCNC Plus. The Charlotte Sports Foundation taking over one of the city's biggest running events just hours ago. Charlotte Sports Foundation announced it's acquired the Novant Health Charlotte Marathon, which drew a record 11,000 runners last year. Spokesperson Miller Yoho for the group is here now in the Live Impact studio with what this means for the race as well as the city's growing sports scene. Miller, thanks for joining us here.
Thanks so much for having me. What an exciting day. It's a great day. I'm personally a runner, but it's also a great day to be a Charlottean, to be able to put our hands on this race and continue to help it grow after 20 years of incredible success.
Yeah, what does this mean then for Charlotte City runners and the community?
Yeah, what's exciting is the Charlotte Sports Foundation is a nonprofit. Really, our mission is to create events that leave a lasting legacy here, that make really the quality of life the best it can be. So us taking this over really allows us to focus on what the event can be, to really make it something that runners, spectators can appreciate every mile, every step, and make it special, and something that really grows along with the growing city that we have here.
Yeah, so you just had last year's 11,000 runners, like I said, setting a record, or the most that we've seen so far. Why is this the right time for Charlotte Sports Foundation to step in?
Yeah, I think a big thing with the foundation, I've been around I started when I had hair, so that shows you how long I've had, but we started with just a football game, and then we had the ACC football championship, and we've added basketball, the Allied Tip-Off, Dick Vitale, professional tennis. We've done running with the Mech Mile. For us, it's just bringing our big event experience, but also that kind of focus on what the experience can be for the runners. And I think it's really going to be a powerful combination, something that is unique in this space to have an entity like us really focus on it. I think I really believe that our team's going to put a ton of effort into creating that run that can be unique, that can be celebrated. And I've run the marathon. You're a little bit different than when you finish than when you start. So that's something that excites me, to be able to celebrate that and be a part of so many people's journeys through that day.
Good for you. All right, so then what can we expect to see that's different? What stays the same?
Well, I think the number one thing we're trying to say is we're all about sustained growth. So we're not going to promise any numbers or anything like that, but we want to grow this. We want to make it as large as possible. We want to really showcase Charlotte, and then what we want to do is take runners to the city and give them an experience where they're being celebrated, they're being cheered on. And long term, we want Marathon Day in the city to be special. We want the city to shut down, people to celebrate these people, and then we're taking it year by year in terms of what changes, things we can do, and we're all ears. We want to hear what the Charlotte running community wants. We want to create something that people come here to visit, to experience, and want to make the best race Charlotte can have.
This is a celebration of the city and its neighborhoods, right? So what is the Sports Foundation then? How do you plan to deepen those connections to the community?
Well, that's the secret sauce, right? Is getting into the community, engaging the neighborhoods, making them excited, making them come out and celebrate in unique ways. And then also there's tremendous support already. I think there's 1,000 volunteers who are part of this. There's tremendous partners already. Novant Health is fully invested. So there is a foundation for us to grow from. And that's what's really exciting, to come into a space that you don't have to rebuild or redo. You start from an incredible foundation, and you're able to build on existing relationships and make something truly special.
And I mean, do they stay involved, and what does that look like?
Exactly. So we'll still have Novant Health. We'll have many of the partners. We'll look to have the ambassadors out there run clubs. We'll partner with a lot of the same people. So what we have is sustainability, but also a platform for our ability to bring in the large event experience. And I promise, we're going to invest. We're going to make it big. We haven't started designing the finish line, but I imagine it's going to be a pretty big thing. If you've experienced the Mech Mile and what we've done there, there'll be certainly some similarities.
Yeah, bringing up Mech Mile, launching that, 2024?
Yes, so it was 2024 in 2025. And we made the decision. We loved it. And what we like to think is we fell in love with the mile, but our love is now 26 miles deep. So as part of us investing in the marathon, it made sense for us to close the Mech Mile. We have a lot of fond memories, but we want to put our full energy in what we learned in the relationships. And we really have come to really appreciate the Charlotte running community and all the partners and friends we've made along the way. And we want to take that and move it to the marathon, the half marathon, and the 5K on November 14th.
All right, so for folks who want to register, looking that far ahead, what's your message to people who might be interested in participating or signing up?
Yeah, I think it's something that, whether it's a 5K, a half marathon, or the marathon that day, what you're going to get is a transformative experience. Running a race isn't just about the medal at the end. It's not just about the start line or finish line. It's about what you get to experience as you go through the neighborhoods. I know I still look back on that day that I ran it in 2024, and it's one of my fondest running memories. And the fact that we're going to be able to invest and help make more of those, and we're looking long term for this. We're looking 20 years from now. So if you're looking for this year, I'd say go ahead and run, and then get excited for what the future is. And we want people coming back every year, this to be something that's marked and pinned on their calendar. So please sign up. It's the charlottemarathon.com, and we can't wait to see you.
What does the future look like? Speaking of future, what does it look like for the marathon and Charlotte Sports Foundation?
Yeah, I think really now that it's announced, we can start really working, right? Beforehand, you have all the lawyers and the NDAs and all that stuff. So what for us, it's starting the sprint to November 14th of working with partners, building elements, getting into the community, working on signups, and then it's also evaluating every possible mile, every possible step. So a lot of people talk about the course. It will stay the same this year, but there's permits. But how do we evaluate what the course looks like in the future? How are we engaging neighborhoods? How are we making the runner experience as best as possible? How does it look, feel? What is Expo Day? All these things are on the table, and I think that's the important part is people understand that we're taking a long-term view of this to make it the best day possible and the best weekend possible. So we're all ears, as I said. We want people to come in and share and tell us what they look for in this event to make it the best day for Charlotte.
You guys really kept this news under wraps, by the way. We're like, what is going to be their announcement? So nice to see that, and what great news for the community. We have a great running community here, so that's really something to look forward to. And Charlotte Sports Foundation keeps on just putting your roots everywhere in the city. So it's really great to bring such great events to the Queen City.
Yeah, thanks so much. We're excited we're excited about all our events. It's going to be a busy summer and fall. There's so much going on, but could not appreciate the Charlotte community for supporting us more.
All right, Miller Yoho with the Charlotte Sports Foundation, and the news that they are taking over the city's biggest running event, the Charlotte Marathon. That's going to be awesome and fun. November 14th, something to look forward to. Start training now. All right. Thank you, Miller.
Thanks.
All right, you can find that information on our website. We're going to wrap things up here at 10:57 right now. Keep in mind that we will have the latest updates for all of our viewing area for you on our website, as well as this app. Make sure you download it to your phone, because if power is going to go out this weekend, you're going to want another source for information. We're going to have all hands on deck from our Weather Impact team, as well as the WCNC Charlotte News team. They are fanning out as we speak, and more for you here coming up midday. Charlotte Today is up next. Have a great morning.